Hi everybody, Diane here from California Tea and Herbal. This, last weekend we went specifically on a drive into the wine country, which is just about 5 miles away from here, and I took all sorts of video. I also just erased all the video I took, and I don't know how it happened, but thankfully I was able to save one photo of my favorite architecture on a vineyard out here. And the reason why we went into the wine country, besides just people have said, tell us a little more about you guys and so forth, because this is where we live in Southern California. And so it also was because I wanted to do another video on a tea called Puer. And one of the great people who commented on what they'd like to see is they'd like to hear more about the origins of the teas that we sell on our website. And then someone else said we'd also like to see more of the teas you sell on your website. So we'll kind of hit all those three in one here today. And Puer, and I'm going to show you a close-up photo right now of 2 Puer varieties or selections that we have on our website. And the first is Puer Ginger, and that obviously has little pieces of real ginger in it. And the second, and this is my very favorite, I love this tea, it's a vanilla mint Puer. And so it is not just this beautiful fermented tea, but it also has the mint and vanilla, which really makes it just smooth and lovely. At any rate, so today I'm going to tell you a little about Puer, and then I'm going to brew some up. And I brew Puer differently than many people. Many people like to brew this tea in a Gong Fu method. They like to do short infusions and multiple infusions, whereas I like to brew it like any other black tea, and that would be for 4 to 5 minutes, and I go 5 on the Puers, and I brew that at the temperature I would brew black teas, which is about 195 to 200. So we'll get on with that, and here we go. Okay, if you're new to our channel, we've been in the tea business for over a decade, and we absolutely love and are passionate about loose leaf tea and herbals. And so you'll see a lot of things on our channel, and I really want to thank you. We've had some new subscribers. Join right in, make any comments you want. People are tending not to get into a lot of conversations, and I think that's just because tea is a new subject for a lot of people. But I don't want to do all the talking. Talk back to me, and feel free to contribute anything you'd like on this channel that's positive, please, and is about tea. And so let's start on this Puer today. Puer is a tea, and I have some notes, but I don't think I need them, so pretty familiar with Puer. I love it, and Puer is made actually from plants that are very, very old. Some of them up to 1,000 years old. They also tend to have larger leaves than most other tea. Now, Yunnan, where Puer is grown, is really the birthplace of tea, so to speak. It's just been acknowledged as the birthplace of tea. And of course, tea is grown all over the world. Anywhere where the climate is right, you can grow tea. But Puer has about 4 regions where most of the Puer comes from. And a really interesting thing about Puer is that it is tea that has been oxidized, but then after it has been oxidized, it is what is called post-fermented, or actually a microbial fermentation of the tea is done. And there's 2 ways that you can do this. So one way that you can ferment the tea is microbially, and that is, and there's a short way to do that, relatively speaking, because the way that Puer really began was a natural fermentation process that took place, and it goes on for years. I mean, there are Puer teas that are very, very old, and Puer that's very, very old is like wine, which is why I wanted to show you the wine country, because actually Puer has many qualities of wine, and one is complexity. And so you get just a very complex taste with Puer. It's not shallow, it's not flat. There are notes upon notes. And when you get very, very old pu'er, the longer that the aging process goes on, the less caffeine stays in that tea. And so relatively, comparatively, the younger pu'ers are not going to have as much caffeine, but as in our video on caffeine, it really depends on any tea how long you steep that. So the steeping time is going to be the main decider of how much caffeine. Now, pu'er can come in compressed cakes. If you've ever seen them, they're usually round cakes. Some of them are wrapped. They almost look like a cheese that's been wrapped. But so that it can come in the compressed cakes, or it can come in the loose form. And we carry the loose form. And pu'er is a tea that normally you would try after you've been drinking other teas for a while, because it has notes that some people are not as familiar with. It can have a musky taste. It can have an earthy taste. Sometimes it'll have fruity notes. Just a number of notes. There is not any, and it also, again, it depends on how the pu'er was processed, whether it was the long fermentation process or the shorter fermentation process. So you're going to get all kinds of variations from pu'er. But basically, pu'er is a tea that should be on every tea lover's bucket list. It's the tea that you want to try before you die. Give it a try, because it's a very wonderful thing. And the way I brew pu'er, and when I brew tea, I'm not a Zen, you know, I just look forward to the way that I brew the tea. No, what I'm always going for is the taste. So I like pu'er very, very strong. Like I said, I brew it for 4 to 5 minutes, and I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to taste it, and we'll move on from there. Okay, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video on pu'er. Remember, it is a tea that is post-fermented, which means after it's been oxidized, whether it's green or black, it can then be microbially fermented, either in a more natural process or in a process literally that is more of a newer process. And there goes my buzzer for the tea. That will give it the same type of flavor, but with the older pu'er, the more it's aged, that pu'er will become more and more complex. And I believe I said I've actually heard at auction pu'er selling, a very small amount of pu'er selling for $30,000. I think that was the top amount I heard. So it is like an aged wine, a very unique tea, and one I hope you'll try. It's under Black Teas at calteas.com, and we have 2 varieties, Puer Ginger and Puer with vanilla and mint. So let's pour it. I'm going to take out the little steeping basket here and set it right here for now. And let's pour this. Now you want to use 1 tablespoon per 8 ounces of water. And with any tea, when you steep it, the leaves are going to absorb some of that. So when I'm doing an 8-ounce cup, I'll put in about 9 ounces of water, because some of that will stay in the leaves. And now I'm going to actually do a close-up of this infusion so you can see how black it is. And if you were doing it in the multiple infusion shorter time method, it would not be this black, obviously, on the infusion. So let me taste this. This may be the smoothest tea ever, pu'er. And there's just that there's definitely that musky, earthy flavor. And there's also the slightest smoothness of the vanilla. You can barely sense the vanilla, but it's there, and then the mint comes in, and the mint is the final note that you get with this tea. But it's not like a Moroccan mint or a real minty mint. It's a very subtle but very palate cleansing finish. So good. And with Puer, I say, don't add anything to it. You don't need a sweetener. You don't need any kind of milk. Just enjoy it. Black. So now, as we go out for today, I'm going to get a real good shot of this infusion. And please, if you enjoy the videos, would you subscribe if you haven't? Would you like? Would you comment? And would you share with your tea-loving or tea-curious friends? We'll be back next time. As always, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. Now look for this dark infusion. Go do a close-up. There it is. As black, just a deep chocolate black brown. That is what a Puer infusion looks like on a 4 to 5 minute steep. And then of course there are those beautiful large oxidized and post-fermented leaves. As dark as coffee. A wonderful, wonderful tea.